sound prolific what I just said?
No.
That wasn't. I was trying.
It was all right, though.
It's usually what I freestyle those sometimes. No, I'm good.
No, more candy.
Appreciate it. So,
hello.
This week is about school shootings.
Oh, man. I thought we were doing pills.
We were, or we are this week, but we're doing school shootings today. And this episode was inspired by Thompson's son over a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think, is important because sometimes we just freestyle these ideas, but this kind of hits home, right? Mm-hmm. Because, I can only imagine how you feel or how you would feel if you ever got that call, right? Like, damn, there's something going down at school.
I mean, basically, he was on a field trip, and he was in Tallahassee when they passed what's before the bill? Proposing the bill?
Right, the proposal.
They proposed the bill, and he was in the room when it happened. He told me they were going to give guns to teachers.
The Guardian program.
I'm like, wow, that's happening. So, we've had those conversations with him since he was younger, and it's something you don't want to think about, but unfortunately, it's a reality that we have in this country. Is it as bad anywhere else in the world?
It's a good question. I'm sure every place.
What state has had the most?
I think it's the way other places are set up also. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think what's interesting about this situation specifically is that it's young people doing it, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of other conflicts that you might see in another country is usually by another crazy adult, right? Mm-hmm. Doing something crazy to other people. But I could be a complete idiot about this point, but maybe we might be the only country that the youth really has a reputation about going out and killing people on a mass level.
Probably, but not counting child soldiers that are forced to do it.
Right.
Talking about like otherwise everything else is fine. Not fine, but you're not in a situation where somebody's making you kill somebody. You're doing it. You're taking it upon yourself to do it.
Yeah, it's an internal conflict versus an external conflict that's affecting you. Even I would say like growing up in a crazy neighborhood that maybe there's a lot of gangs would be more similar to a war situation where it's like some crazy country in Africa where they just slaughtered your family and now you're part of this rebel group. Have you ever seen that movie?
Sure.
Beast of a Nation?
Beast of a Nation.
What an incredible Netflix movie.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but
it's like Lords of the Flies. You ever seen that movie?
Lord of the Flies, yeah.
And so those are environments, right, that produce, you always hear this concept of product of my environment.
Yeah.
I grew up and hustled crack because it was a product of my environment,
YNW
father's
Melly.
Father. Yeah. YNW Melly grew up in a crazy neighborhood, guns everywhere.
Right. Stepped out the door.
Yeah. But what about these, kids that grow up in a supposed nice, Stoneman Douglas was in Parkland, Florida, right? Mm-hmm. And it's Mary Stoneman Douglas, right? I'm killing it, but Kimberly will correct me.
Merrim?
Kimberly will correct us in a little bit. Thank God for her.
Slightly unnecessary, Kimberly, and weird.
Shout out, Mr. Michelson. Thank you for that email. I felt like a professor coming down on us. But, this is in Parkland, Florida, which is supposedly like one of the best neighborhoods in Florida.
Really?
According to statistics, yeah. Well, and according to all the media accounts.
According to what?
Statistics and the media account.
According to what?
Statistics.
Statistics?
This is shit that scientists, mathematical stuff that scientists put together.
So I know what you mean.
Confidence.
I apologize.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I know what
this place is supposed to be like a safe place.
Really? I didn't know that.
Did I say statistics wrong?
Say it again.
Statistics?
There it is.
I was saying statistics instead of okay.
And I'm an asshole. I apologize.
It makes it more entertaining though, Thompson. We need you to be an asshole sometimes.
Okay, cool.
And going on that, right? Like, yeah, sometimes you want to act like an asshole. Sometimes your shit happens, and you're again a product of your environment.
Hood
But
rat shit with your friends,
right, but you don't want
smoking with cigarettes.
But what level does it cross when you go into fucking with people or being an asshole to a straight killer?
Yeah. What level?
Yeah, like where do you jump from that? Do you automatically stay? Have you always been an asshole and then you just cross the super asshole threshold? Or are we all just naturally assholes sometimes?
I think everybody has the ability to snap and lose their shit. I think every person on this planet
You think
can
so?
get pushed to a point, whether it be through outside forces like another student picking on them, or just making shit up in your head, or being influenced by, crazy radio shock jocks like Rush Limbaugh or something like that, where you're just like kind of riled up, and then it's all in your own brain. Whoever it's them, it's these, it's they, and I. Mix
so you
that.
think we're always going to have these people?
Yeah, I think the people are always going to exist. Access to what they can actually do, that's going to vary, I think, greatly here and probably in the near future. People like that I assume, have been around since the beginning of people, where, 1 out of 5 or whatever the statistic is.
Yeah, but
whatever that statistic is.
Usually, that person that flies off the handle comes from a fucked up situation, right?
Yeah, maybe they just weren't mixed right in the belly.
So you think it starts at that early level?
I think it can, yeah.
Straight from babies, you're
not every time, not always, but I think a lot of times it's luck of the draw, look at your genetics and your genes, and are your people, whoever they are, more apt to jump off the side of a cliff into a raging river after whatever, or are they the type to see that and walk all the way down because that's dangerous? Were your people that way back when, or what kind of primordial ooze did you jump out of? Was it a kind of like algae? Whatever you believe, whatever you believe, and however things came, and but if wherever your whole lineage all the way to you started, how crazy and how awesome were those people, and what environment did they live in, all the way up to now? So,
yeah, but why is it the same characteristics, of like the kid that was picked on, bullied, outcast? I always seen this guy in the corner. He was always a little weird. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the same
kid,
narrative that we've seen since Columbine.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
again, you can, any person, like if we had the power of Truman Show, if we could Truman Show people, you could push anybody. You ever see The Game with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn?
I can't remember.
Michael Douglas, Sean Penn.
Was that the movie with the guy that broke his head in the bear promo that you cut up?
No,
in the glass window.
No. That's The Program.
Oh, that's The Program.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, The Game was about, what do you get? Someone who is super rich and super powerful. What do you get them as like a gift, right? So this guy's brother got him the game. If you accept this, then this game's going to start and it won't stop until whatever. So they basically set up his whole life. They framed him for murder, blah, 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 where he's running from the law. And at the end, they push him to a point where he would kill himself. So at the end, they pushed him so much to a point where he threw himself off a building because they thought he did something. But then
that was his gift.
Yeah, it was like this crazy elaborate.
Truman because he
show.
Was fed up with life because he had everything or whatever.
No, what do you get him? His brother got him that, like, because he the guy can get anything. So what do you get somebody like that? You get him this.
Give him death.
Well, it wasn't meant to be that. It meant to give him an experience of a lifetime.
But he chose death.
He chose death because he thought he killed his brother. Spoiler alert or whatever. But point is, a lot of people can get pushed to a certain point. If we could Truman Show kids, you would get the high school. Remember that movie, fucking She's All That or whatever, where you switch roles from nerd to jock.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that.
You know, any that can happen. You know, it's life is hard for those oddballs and outcasts. It is.
It's hard for everybody.
To a degree, for sure, in your own perspective.
Well, is it hard for them because they don't have coping mechanisms? They're not witty enough, you know. Sometimes, you know, I feel like I always had
which is part of the reason they get picked on, because the Serengeti that is the fucking high school where you're just out there roaming around, that's deemed a weakness. Being weird is a weakness. Being poor is a weakness. Being a minority is a weakness. Seemed. Like out there, that's what I can pick on. I can pick on your curly hair. I can pick on your chucks that have holes in them. I can pick on you kind of being quiet and liking to read and being smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I remember getting picked on. I wasn't like bullied, but shit happened. You know what I mean? I would fight back. Shit would stop, right?
You would fight back and shit would stop. Some people don't. Some people can't. Some people aren't equipped for that. Some
but they're
people,
equipped to get guns and deal with it that way.
They shut down to the degree that they can't even speak. And when they get a gun, they feel they have a perceived power, and they at least feel it. They feel that power. And then they overuse that power. And they use it in the wrong way. Because, fill in the blank, because of parents, because of drugs, because of whatever. But they don't have coping mechanisms or tools to, like, just be like, you know, like I used to do. So I was skinny. You know what I mean? I had braces at a certain point. What was mine? I just joked. I joked back on you. And I got you right away. You'd say something, I got you right away. And I wasn't afraid of getting my ass whooped. So that was, you know, you do that a handful of times and then they respect you and they you know. So it's like whatever. Kids, not everybody's equipped like that. You know, not everybody has a dad who's going to sit them down and tell them that being weird is the most amazing part.
You think having guns in society allows for that even, you know, for that even to take place? Because maybe if that wasn't an option, right, that wasn't part of the video game, that you can get this gun and go into this next level, that you actually have to go into that level and put your hands up and defend yourself. Mm-hmm. You think these kids would still be doing this shit? Like,
well, obviously, if they didn't have the gun, they wouldn't shoot. If they didn't have the gun,
right,
they wouldn't just
and that wouldn't be part of society. That wouldn't be an option, right? So then you would have to maybe.
That's when it gets kind of like sticky, icky, weird. You know, I think it's too easy to get guns. I think we sort of talked about it.
Yeah,
was it the Father's Day one or?
And Father's Fault. There's been several couple episodes.
It's like your position. It's too easy, and they need to do this. Right? They need to like train and go to school.
Well, no, I get that part. My part is, would they still become killers if they didn't have the option? Like, is it innate? Like we were saying, do these people, are these people born this way where they're just, that's how they get revenge? They're not, you know, they don't process the fact like, yo, that's way too serious. Like, or does that just happen in life when they get dealt these cards and this is the classroom I'm deciding to walk in and, you know, do my thing because I feel like that's an outlet. Like, that's what I'm trying to understand, because I always see these characteristics. We always hear the same song and dance. So I'm wondering if this is just society's programmed and these personalities fall into those lanes. Just like you grow up and be a football player, right? You grow up to be the guy that needs to be witty with the joke, because maybe we talked about this with Hulk Hogan, right? Like Hulk Hogan has this huge, big body demeanor, so he's going to attract a certain energy from people. I'm the fat kid, right? I got to be laughing, funny, and that's how I'm going to get cool with girls, whatever. That's my ability to survive in the Serengeti,
tools.
Right? So is society producing these personalities based on these lanes because of these structures and these constructs in our mind, or are we naturally just like that? And somebody's got to fall into that lane because it's just part of nature.
I mean, I definitely think that there's a lineage, again, like a genetic.
So his dad's like Marty McFly's dad.
just a lineage of people. In some way, it gets adjusted through experience, or you get the kind of like off-brand black duck. Like if your whole family full of like dumb people, then all of a sudden one kid's a savant and looks down on his whole family. And you know whatever movie that was, because there's a movie like that where it's just like, oh, my whole family's a bunch of idiots. I got to get out of here, type stuff. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it has to do with what your people are like. You know, from back your great grandmother and what she did and how she told your grandmother, and then how your grandmother told your mother, and your mother told you. You know that. There's some validity to that, a little bit. Not has everything to do, and the rest of it is environment, society, and you know how much. Again, if your mother's mother sat with her and told her how the world really works, then it's more likely your mother sat with you and told you how the world works. If your mother's mother didn't, then maybe the television told your mother how the world works, and then the television tells you still how the world works, so your perceptions are completely different. And maybe your mother didn't spend as much time with you as your grandma did, so maybe you spend more time with your grandma, but your grandma's older now, so all you do is really play video games at grandma's house, and now you're just shooting up everything. Your mother doesn't really talk to you because she's out.
But at the end of the day, it's emotions, right? And
sure.
and we talk about this sometimes with like when people argue if the homosexuality thing is born or chosen, right? So does this fall in that same criteria where like, are you born a killer or are you choosing these things in life? You know, like what is it, right? Because these innate, just the same way as when we hear a lot of people that are homosexual, they're like, no, I always felt this way. I grew up this way. This is my thing. Sometimes there's a narrative of being molested or taken advantage of, right? And the same thing with these killers, right? They didn't have the best childhood sometimes. Like Nicholas's mother and father passed away. Okay, he had a brother, right? They kind of grew up in the same environment. His brother didn't turn out to be a killer, but they had of course everybody's perspective, even if you grow up in the same house, is going to be different. Every second of your life is different than somebody else's, so you're going to see the blinders are going to be different than the other person. Mm-hmm. But if that's the case, then these people are born this way, right? And there is no choice. You're just going to be that way regardless. That's why you're adapting. That's why you're being picked on, is because you're born this way.
Maybe. I don't know. I think something has to be left open for those people who, again, are just pushed into corners, you know?
I'm really starting to believe, out of all these stories, and of course I can only see it from the outside in. Same thing with the gay thing, right? How do I experience that when I've never lived that lifestyle? How do I experience this killer thing when I've never lived that lifestyle? So it's always going to be speculation. But the thing is that there's a lot of reoccurring themes in the same story that we're hearing, and that all to me always goes back to this is some type of, you know, conditioning that this person is getting, but at the same time, it's the same personality. So, like, even the dude that shot up the Aurora movie theater, like the other kid in Colorado that with the purple hair that recently shot,
Joker.
These guys all look the same to me. They all feel like almost the same person. You know?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's. So when bullies, right? When you bully somebody, you're bullying them because you don't understand them or whatever, or it's easy. It's easy to do. You know, you have low self-esteem, so you don't understand them, so you want to bully what's different. So different. Unpopular is another word for different, right? Unpopular, niche, something like kind of like whatever. So the unpopular thing is the thing that the television says it isn't talking about. It isn't the Kim Kardashians and Facebook and fucking Fortnite and whatnot. It's the other thing. It's the whatever cool hip song that I couldn't name right now, right? And you're sitting off, right?
Old Town Road.
Whatever, right? So the bully is looking at this guy. He's like, look at this non-Old Town Road, non Facebook using, non-Snapchat and non-Instagram and non-insert cliche here. So I'm going to make fun of him. This guy maybe isn't getting the right kind of support at the house and is just being told constantly how terrible he is for not liking these things and liking something that's probably amazing, right? And then compact it with at the house, you know, it's not the best situation. Maybe he's living with the uncle, maybe he's living with the grandma, and again, maybe they don't have enough time. A lot of times, honestly, you hear shit like, so the one kid, he didn't know, the guy that they were living with, he didn't know how many guns he had.
You're talking about the father of the friend that
Who
allowed
the house,
yeah, because Nicholas' parents died and he needed a place to stay, and the guy
bad
was
situation,
like,
yeah. But he didn't know how many guns he had. 4 or 5 or 6. You see, like that's giant red flag number 1.
Yeah, but if he didn't live at that house, he would have lived somewhere, and those guns were purchased with his mother.
I didn't say he shouldn't have guns. I don't think he should have the guns. I didn't say that until just that moment. What I'm saying is the fact that you have an arsenal in your house and you don't even know at all. You can't tell me how many guns are in your house is a red flag. That's a problem. That's an issue.
But what I'm saying is that issue was there way before. Let's say his mother didn't pass away. His mother, and we're going to play the video so you guys can get a little more context, but his mother actually helped him buy all those guns. So if she didn't die, those guns would still exist in the house.
Yeah, no, but I can't get past the fact that a big part of the issue is that there was all those guns in the house and he couldn't even tell you how many were in there. So there's obviously no oversight happening.
But what if, like...
There's no oversight happening.
But there was no oversight from the get.
That's what I'm saying. That's part of the problem. So whatever's happening at the school, nobody knows about. Nobody knows about. So years ago when all this started, they're obviously not speaking. Because if you could have an arsenal of guns inside of the house with me, and I don't know how many guns there are, then I'm not talking to you about anything. Nothing about your day. How are you doing today? What's up? What happened in school today? Well, blah, 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 blah. And at which point you'll find out that I was, he called me this, he called me that, or they called me this, and this is happening. These things are happening. It's like, oh man, you sound like you're having problems. Let's fix it. Let's have a conversation. You need to be involved. I guarantee you get involved. If you're involved and you're in their shit, they're not going to walk up into school. And I'm not saying obviously for sure, but like, you'll know.
Yeah, you'll know, Thompson.
You'll know at least how many guns you got.
But Thompson, this has been going on since the 90s, brother. And they're still getting guns and they're still shooting people.
And they're still there.
So that's not going to prevent.
I got them like 4 or 5. You seem to like the guns.
Yeah, but the thing is that we're always going to hear that narrative. With hindsight, we're always going to hear that narrative. But what I'm saying is, regardless of any of that,
okay,
he was bred into, or he was universally numbered for this gig in life. And it's such a sad thing that that's becoming the gig in life, right? That school shooter is like a thing. You know what I mean? Like a serious thing that could possibly happen. Like, you're probably gonna be involved in some type of shooting before you win the lottery. That's the statistics.
Yeah, right. There was like, at this point, we're in the 30s, something like that for the year? Or was that last year?
Yeah, I mean...
Whatever it was really fast, and we were in like the 20s or 30s.
When this shooting happened, this happened on February 14th, on Valentine's Day. Yeah. Okay, on Valentine's Day, there was already 18 shootings.
There you go.
By Valentine's Day, I'm sorry.
For a little context, it's not just when they say those shootings, it's not just I'm a tortured teen, I'm walking into school and I'm shooting up shit. Some of it is dropped guns that were brought to school. No, I looked this up. It's not all just
I'm hearing, but isn't that still like, what are you doing with this gun in school?
No. Yeah, I say for context.
Okay.
So people don't think necessarily that there were 18 people walking up into the school with the intention of killing people.
Right.
That happened, but not all of these 18 or whatever. Some of them were just like, I got a gun in my bag, it dropped off. Or literally, I'm coming for you,
specifically
my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend, like not just going to shoot. And not just is the wrong word, like you're kind of saying. I'm not trying to diminish whatever. I'm just saying for context purposes, it's not all just straight to the fucking Columbine style shit. It's different, very like recently, and this counts. Even though the gun wasn't fired, some kid was getting bullied, right? So he goes to tell his dad. His dad is like in a wheelchair, rolls up into the school with an AK on his lap into the office.
Yeah, good and bad fathers.
Yeah. That counts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a good.
Nothing was discharged, but that's gun at a school. So sometimes the statistics can sort of say one thing, but it is a problem. All of it's a problem.
It's an epidemic.
I would agree, right? There's more cases of school shootings than there are of people dying of.
Yeah. I mean, when people say they're going to homeschool their children, I mean, can you blame them? You know, I remember when we were growing up, you'd be like, no cell phones or beepers at the school. Now it's like, you should probably get your kid a cell phone.
No, yeah, for sure. Even for the peace of mind that they could tell you when something's going on. Because even if they tell you, it's not like you can teleport to the school. You're still 15 to 20 minutes out, depending on what you do and where you live. In Orlando, you're 15 to 20 minutes out. And
unfortunately, this is the saddest part, but that might be the last time you communicate to them too. You know, because of that text. Well, like in our school years, you're not going to get that. Shit just goes down and the parents got to show up at the fence pissed off like, where's my kid? You know, at least with the cell phones, there's some type of like, I only say that because it was like when we were doing the Pulse episode, it was such a crazy thing to hear the dad texting back and forth with his kid and being that, at least that was something closer than not even knowing. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just, we're in a place in society that we're so far advanced with technology or whatever, but we're so not advanced and not involved when it comes to these basic human, you know, things. Like by now, you don't think we should figure out a way to spot these kids out in school?
It's inverse. It's an inverse effect that's happening. The better our technology, especially our phones get, the dumber we get. And it just is that. We spell less, right? We can't spell things.
We don't connect as much because we can text. You know what it is to pick up the phone?
We finish the sentence with the touch of a button. It thinks of the next word for us, right? We can't talk to each other. We can't even talk to each other anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's easier to text.
Shit is so crazy, bro. But I think as we, you know, get dumber and get smarter at the same time, well, I think at some point there's going to be a revolution or de-evolution or back to the old school. Like, because it started, you used to have to remember the phone number. Now you don't have to remember the phone number.
I just think school, that type of school, university's been around for thousands of years, right? But school, primary education, what they call, right? I think that's all fucked up. I think that the foreground, the foundation of public school education is all fucked up. The way that we, unfortunately, spend less time with our children than the teachers do. The children's. Than our, the teachers are really the ones that are raising our kids in some respect, you know. Mm-hmm. Not everybody are parents like you. I know you over talk to your kids and you over question, but a lot of people just work. They're working too hard to figure it out, and they say, "Hey, the teacher is law here. You go by what the teacher's saying. When you come home, get in front of the TV, or get in front of the laptop."
Yeah,
And that's raising
dumber.
society right now.
It's making them dumber. I
Yeah.
don't know why it has to be like that. Honestly.
Well, it's like you said. We want things to make life easier. So there's this guy on YouTube that still mows his lawn. He's from Pennsylvania or something like that. He mows his lawn with a sickle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and the guy says, I'm like looking at it like, damn, why not? This is a huge. This guy's like a farmer. You know what I mean? Momo's trying to play. This guy's a straight farmer. Momo, come over here and lay down. Come over here and lay down. Come over here and lay down. Lay down, buddy. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. So
sickle.
So the guy mows his whole lawn with a sickle. And you would think, like, yo, you got a farm, bro. Why not just get one of these brand new tractors? Mm-hmm. And his whole science behind it, or his whole mentality about it, is, no, I enjoy doing this to my yard. It's a great exercise. The way these sickles have advanced in technology, they're only like 3 pounds. So if you get the right rotation, you're really not doing no exercise. And he says it's like a Zen-like thing for him to do the whole yard. And when he's done, he's connected to his farm. You know what I mean? And he says that he doesn't have to fertilize his grass, like, because of the way the grass falls or whatever. There's a lot of benefits to actually doing this, where the machine just sucks everything up or gets rid of everything, leaves dead grass, and it's a more convenient thing, but it leads to more effects on the grass that you have to compensate for later, like fertilizing and all types of things. So it's an old school thing that's doing it in a modern way, you know what I mean? And he's getting some pleasure out of it. And I think that analogy proves true to today when people go live off the grid, right? They go do all these different things to disconnect from society, because we all see it. We all see, or there's a large percentage of the people that see, like, this shit is not healthy the way we're living,
right?
The way we're, even like big cities like New York, like, it might be financially secure to live in a city like that. It might be more opportunities financially, but why would you want to live in a fucking box?
Makes sick.
8 million people, and sanitation sucks. And probably the only thing good that came out of that is their water treatment. The water's supposed to be so good in New York. That's what makes the food so good. Is it the pH in the water?
Yeah, I heard that. I was watching Billions today and yesterday, and the pizza guy said that.
Yeah.
That it's the water that makes the pizza so good. He goes, "Oh, we'll ship the water to you just to make it," because it was gonna like move to Florida or whatever. I didn't know why, because of the system.
Yeah, well, they're one of the oldest water treatment systems in the world, probably, and they just got it down. They got it down to a science. Nice. You know what I mean? So they produce some good water.
Nice.
So we're gonna get into a little bit of facts.
All right.
Hey, we talked for 30 minutes. That was a good one, bro. We're getting good at this. Stepping up. We're a yellow belt yet? Yeah. Would you consider us a yellow belt? All right, we're a yellow belt.
Well, here is another crazy Florida story. Goddamn Florida know how to breed assholes. On February 14, 2018, a gunman opened fire with a semi-automatic rifle at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, killing 17 students and staff members and injuring 17 others. Witnesses identified Nicholas Cruz, a 19-year-old expelled student, as the assailant. Cruz fled the scene on foot by blending with other students. He was arrested without incident about an hour later in nearby Coral Springs. He confessed to being the perpetrator, and he was charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder and 17 counts of attempted murder. Police and prosecutors have not offered a motive and are investigating a pattern of disciplinary issues and unnerving behavior, but Cruz offered several motives for the crime. Cruz's killing spree is the deadliest high school shooting in United States history, surpassing the Columbine High School massacre that killed 13 in Colorado on April 20, 1999. The shooting came at a period of heightened public support for gun control that followed mass shootings in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Sutherland Springs, Texas, in October and November 2017. In 2016 and 2017, the sheriff's office received a number of tips about Cruz's threats to carry out a school shooting. The FBI learned that a YouTube user with the username Nicholas Cruz posted a message in September 2017 about becoming a school shooter, but the agency could not identify the user. In January 2018, someone contacted the FBI tip line with a direct complaint that Cruz had made a death threat, but the complaint was not forwarded to the local FBI office. Following the massacre, the anger and frustration of Parkland student survivors intensified towards the perceived inaction of the Republican-dominated legislature on the wider issue of mass shootings and gun violence. The students founded Never Again MSD, an advocacy group that lobbies for legislative action on gun violence. On March 9, Governor Rick Scott signed a bill that raised the minimum age for buying rifles in Florida from 18 to 21. The legislation also established waiting periods and background checks for gun buyers. The law allowed for the arming of teachers who were properly trained and the hiring of school police. So-called bump stocks would now be banned, and some potentially violent or mentally unstable persons would be prohibited from possessing guns. The National Rifle Association, NRA, immediately filed a lawsuit that challenged the federal constitutionality of the age requirement clause. After the shooting, the Broward County Sheriff's Office received widespread criticism for its handling of the police response, with much of the criticism being directed at Sheriff Scott Israel for not addressing loopholes that allowed Cruz to purchase a firearm legally despite his lengthy record of threatening behavior. Israel's deputies were also criticized for staying outside the school and not immediately confronting Cruz. Several police officers who responded to the scene later resigned, and new Governor Ron DeSantis suspended Israel in January 2019 largely as a result of his conduct in regard to the shooting, and replaced him with Gregory Toney. A commission appointed by then-Governor Scott to investigate the attack condemned the police inaction in the wake of the attack and urged school districts across the state to adopt greater measures of security, including the possibility of allowing educators and staff members to carry their own firearms on school property in order to prevent further attacks. In March 2019, shortly after the first anniversary of the shooting, 2 Parkland survivors committed suicide, a former student who graduated the year before, and a student who was enrolled in the school year. Officials renewed their efforts to provide mental health support to the school community and families, and noted the long-term effects of such trauma.
Damn. So many things, like, unfortunately with these things, it's like, it's hard to find, like, you got to blame Nicholas Cruz, obviously, but can you really blame the cops for, like, what time they gone in? You know what I mean? Like, the post officers waited about 3 hours, right? I know it's a school, there's kids there, right? But, like, and I know that these people signed up to go in, but, you know, like, there's an officer right now that is being tried.
The Israel dude.
No, other than the Israel dude, the actual cop that let me play one of these. So right here.
Oh, Peterson.
Yeah.
New York, I'm David Begnaud. There has been a dramatic turn in the investigation into what happened at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were killed last year. The man whose job it was to keep students safe was arrested today. Surveillance tape shows the school resource officer never entered the building as bullets flew. Late today, former Broward County Sheriff's Deputy Scott Peterson was arrested on 11 criminal charges, including child neglect and negligence. Here's Manuel Bojorquez.
I mean, my question is, if the argument is he did the right thing, what the response is not, and I guess the Pulse one too, you don't go in toward gunfire. If it's gunfire happening, you stay put.
But the thing is that hypothetically he did what he was supposed to do, but because there was such an outrage, like, they went after this guy, calling him pussy, calling him, you know, why would you?
No, I'm asking. I'm saying, is that the?
Yeah, it is. You're supposed to
Wait till it stops.
Well, you're supposed to basically react based on your training. You know, if you show up in a certain situation that you could probably take him out, then you should do that. But it's at your discretion. We don't want you to die. They're not training you to go die. They're training you to save lives, but also save yourself. I mean, that's why they shoot black people in the car all the time, right?
They're scared.
Because they're scared. They're trying. Oh no, I thought he had a gun. Yeah. I thought he had a gun. Right. So you're supposed to save yourself, but also try to save and be a peace officer. So
I don't know why. It's something about kids. It feels like that supersedes.
well, this is the largest, right? When you have the largest shooting, there's going to be people that are going to have to fall on the knife, especially if you wasn't out blazing glory like Die Hard. If you wasn't Bruce Willis in the building, barefoot, getting like, walking on glass, fighting the bad guys, that's unfortunate because maybe that's like again, do we blame society for this shit, for the norm, right? Or for the, we watch all these action movies, this prototypical alpha American man, good old boy, take a gunshot, do whatever he has to do with the family, or do we just look at it like fucking human? Some people get scared. Some people don't know how to react under fire. Some people freeze up. You can be the hardest motherfucker alive, but you might just freeze up.
Yeah. That's definitely the way I think that's the proper way to look at that.
Yeah, but that's not the way we're built in this society in America.
I don't think so. Because in that same society, there's a lot of people that would have reacted courageously, heard that noise, associated that noise with gunfire, knew that was a school. I don't know if he was this type of resource officer, but the resource officer I knew in high school, I knew him because I saw him every day and we joked about this. He pushed me out of the way from that. Watched him stop that, watched him jump from this to, you know what I mean? So me knowing him, at least now as an adult, even if I have that mentality, I don't see how, because these are my kids and I'm a cop or ex-cop or off-duty cop or whatever.
He's a full-time cop. He's a resource officer.
And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, you can't blame him. That's the proper way to look at it. But at the same time, it's like, these are your kids. You should have heard gunfire.
You think you should go to jail, though?
And run toward it. No, I guess.
I don't think so either. Let's finish with the facts on here because I want to know exactly what the felony charges were. You got 7 of them.
Peterson was arrested late this afternoon after a 15-month investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Whenever they do that, too, they're going deep on this shit to try to figure out something. 15 months?
Announced today Peterson was, quote, derelict in his duty,
failed
to act consistently with his training, and fled to a position of personal safety while Cruz shot and killed MSDHS students and staff. The report also states Peterson was, quote, in a position to engage Cruz and mitigate further harm to others, and he willfully decided not to do so. During the 6 minutes Nicholas Cruz carried out his deadly rampage, Peterson never entered the building. Instead, he hid outside for 48 minutes. Surveillance video from 5 motion-activated cameras show Peterson's response about a minute after the shooting began. Peterson, in the dark green uniform, quickly turns and jumps into a golf cart to investigate. He radioed the sheriff's office with a warning.
We have possible, could be firecrackers. I think we got shots fired. Possible shots fired. 1200 building.
The report says Peterson knew where the gunshots were coming from, but did not investigate the source of them. Seconds later, Peterson is seen running and then stopping to radio dispatch again.
Sir, we got get some units over here. I need to shut down Stone and Douglas.
Peterson stays across from Building 12, which is out of view, just to the left of the pavement. He directs officers to lock the school down and block traffic.
Make sure there's no pedestrian traffic anywhere on Holmberg Road.
According to the report, Peterson instructed deputies to stay away from the building instead of following law enforcement response procedures that call for eliminating immediate threats.
He was a coward and he froze outside the building instead of going in and engaging the threat.
Lori Alhadeff's 14-year-old daughter, Alyssa.
I don't want to, I'm sitting over here talking the way I'm talking because I don't want to say that about the man. But that's a more honest way to put what I said. A more visceral, immediate, honest way to say what I said.
So you should go to jail?
No. I don't think so. I don't think he should go to jail per se. His inaction, you can't say for sure his inaction saved lives or caused people to die or whatever. You can't say for sure.
Yeah. I don't have kids, so it's hard. I say no, but I don't have kids. I can only imagine how these parents feel.
Cause dog, you had a gun. You're a cop. Like dog, you had a gun. You're a cop. You're right there. You know, it's like the worst possible version of could have got the girl's phone number but didn't say anything. Like this is your moment.
This is death too.
You
might
up.
See the girl.
Say, hey girl.
Yeah.
Anything. Just cough.
That's harder though, Thompson. I get your analogy, but like
it's the worst possible version of that.
But bro, you're hearing gunfire. We don't know if this guy's a retired vet suffering from PTSD.
And again,
whatever.
some people get a chance to take that shot, and they either don't take the shot or they miss the shot.
Yeah,
he didn't take the shot. He didn't even try it.
But they're sending him to jail to make a point.
That's what I'm saying. It's
a point. It's because it's the largest shooting.
I'm still trying to figure out how he's going to jail.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Because they waited 15 months to figure out, hey, someone needs to be the scapegoat for this shit.
But derelict of duty takes you into jail?
Yeah. It's a felony if they want to rock with that.
Yikes.
Because you're a sworn officer. You were trained. You're given this gun, this power.
Yeah, but again, you can't prove that me not going in caused lives to...
But it's becoming political because even Scott Israel, I don't agree with a lot of Scott Israel's point. This guy's an entertaining sheriff, just like the guy from Lake County that we like to watch. But he got fired too. I mean, what did he do wrong? He sent cops there.
Well, I mean, that's who takes the hit.
Anyway. Yeah, well, why weren't these cops that waited 3 hours for Pulse ever charged with anything? 3 hours, bro.
I would assume something having to do with Mateen saying that there were bombs.
Right.
I'm assuming that.
Oh yeah, but how you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying about like this feels very political. It feels very, there's a lot of pissed off parents and these kids that the one thing that came out positive it's unfortunate, these kids got together, bro.
Speaking out.
They got a lot of people together. They marched the shit out of shit. And it was beautiful to see all these young kids get together. I haven't seen a movement like that. It kind of felt like some 70s hippie shit, the way they got together and did that.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't do that for Columbine.
No, well, they didn't have the ability to.
What do you mean?
I mean...
social media and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Twitter and whatever. Hashtagging the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But, nothing happened. Nothing got fixed.
Well, they're just gonna come out of people and make examples out of people.
Not yet.
So the next cop that's a resource officer, if he don't kill somebody, I mean, look at what it did to the little fat kid from there was another shooting in Colorado.
You gotta call him a little fat kid
because he's reminded of me and like so this little
Big
kid.
bump.
There was another shooting in Colorado, and this kid engaged.
Yeah.
And when you spoke to his parents, he had said that he's like, because of all the shootings, he's like, if there's ever a shooting in my school, I'm going after the shooter. And we spoke about this in another episode. Yeah. Our kids, like, this is a second nature. The kids are starting to have to think and react.
Have to like plan for it. It's like part of your day.
Like it might happen. So what am I going to do at the time? So now there's going to be a school resource officer that's going to get put in the same predicament because this shit ain't going to stop.
Well, not in Florida. In Florida, there's going to be 7 teachers who have the ability and the training and the weapon to blow your fucking head off.
Well, let's get right into that.
Or accidentally shoot one of the students.
What do you think?
Or get pissed off and shoot one of the students. However it works out, because Florida's crazy as shit.
What do you think about that? You think teachers should have
exactly
guns?
What I just said, bro. Yeah, you're there possibly for the off chance that lightning strikes and, you're going to shoot up this school. So now you have a gun. But now you got a motherfucker with a gun who's underpaid, overworked, stressed the fuck out.
Maybe racist?
Whatever. Maybe I'll try to keep race out of it for now.
Yeah, but
it's a thing.
That's a variable.
It's very much
just
in there.
Just like cops
so
and
now
their
you're
guns.
In there and keep talking shit. Keep talking. You know what I mean? It's Florida. It's hot. It's hot, and I'm bothered. And you keep talking shit, and I got a pistol. But of course, that won't happen. Probably.
Well, for this
I just don't think
Guardian,
it's a good idea.
this Guardian program. Remember how we were talking about? What's the length of time somebody should go as far as training before they get a gun?
Yeah.
I was like 4 years. You were like, nah, it's too much. Well, these people have to go for 144 hours, and it's a training. Let's play the video so we can see what
144 hours. Huh?
The governor of Florida is expected to sign a law allowing teachers to bring guns into classrooms. Not all schools have to allow it, and many say they won't. Here's Adriana Diaz.
The new bill extends Florida's Guardian program, passed in the wake of the Parkland shooting, to now include arming teachers. The House passed the measure along party lines yesterday after impassioned speeches on both sides. Some worry students of color would be at risk.
Because we're talking about black boys and girls who are getting murdered by police officers. There's bad police officers and there are bad teachers.
While others say the measure will save
Yeah,
lives.
I agree with
If you
that.
put your faith in the ability of the government to protect you, that is a false hope.
At least 8 states allow school employees who aren't security officers to be armed at school. Florida's measure requires
course,
psychological
Texas was
screening
in there.
and
Goddamn right,
144
Texas.
hours of instruction,
That's it.
including target
144 hours.
practice. As we saw in June,
You can do that in 2
the Guardian
weeks.
program was just getting started and limited to civilians who weren't teachers. You're a minister. Why did you decide to do this?
I want to shoot black kids.
Well, I have 3 small
Oh,
children.
God.
But Broward County, where Parkland's located, rejects expanding the program to teachers. Anna Fusco is a local teachers union president. Teachers who don't want to carry guns won't have to. Why do you still oppose it if it's optional?
I certainly would not feel comfortable.
Yo, she's Italian.
Some of my
She looks like she makes meatballs
on
at the
that job
house.
without-
Anna Fusco, I
29
make a hell of
74
lasagna.
school districts have opted into the Guardian program, and the governor is expected to sign the extended measure into law.
It's just so scary,
Adriana
bro.
Diaz, CBS News.
It's like something out of
Miami.
Black Mirror.
Bro, teachers and guns.
No.
I
No.
say no, too. That's too much.
Why more guns? Why is the answer
That's
more
America
guns?
for you. You know what? I got a quick way to solve this problem. More guns.
More guns.
Sprinkle some guns.
More is never like when there's a problem. Adding more of the same shit is never the answer. Tell me, there's probably is an answer where it is, but I want you to try to give me one right now. If there's too much water, is more water the answer? No. If there's too much hot sauce, is more hot sauce the answer?
If there's too much money.
There's too much money. If there's too much money, in what instance is there too much money?
I mean,
Like Blow?
there's never too much. Well,
Like the
yeah.
movie Blow, there's too much money?
Yeah.
Was the answer more
Like
money?
Pablo Escobar spending $2,500 a month on rubber bands.
Was the answer more money?
Not so much
No,
money.
it wasn't.
Yo, when you have so much money that it starts to become a problem. I wish I had that problem.
It's a great problem to have, but the answer is not more money. It's something else. It's now I got to buy a house with it. Now I got to buy a business
Yeah.
with it. Anyway, so they're more guns. No, man. Nah, man.
Especially 144 hours.
Target practice.
That's all they're doing.
They're not doing like mental. They're
Well,
not doing like de-escalation, negotiation tactics,
Fire at will.
hand-to-hand combat.
Hand to hand.
Instead of shooting
box.
somebody.
Why are you gonna box? You got a 45 in your hand.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what they're thinking.
God damn.
You think that they would send them to a martial art class first?
Yeah,
no.
man. Some BJJ,
Bro,
some
people
shit.
carry guns just so they don't have to go to martial art class. Gun is the laziest fighting weapon ever. It instantly levels the playground.
Don't give it to the motherfucker who was picked on in high school because he's going to see it in his kid's face. Anyway, I hope none of that ever happens. I hope they give it to the most level-headed person in the world. But something about a person who wants to carry a gun into school makes me think you're not fit to carry a gun in school. You know, like it's like that thing. it's like that thing where it's like you know, if you want it, you shouldn't have it. So I'm gonna give it to this person. You know, like what's the one the story in the Bible where the baby was gonna get cut in half?
I don't know that story.
And the real mom, the real person who should have it, was like,
not
no.
Cain and Abel. No, that's the brothers.
It was like a baby, and there was another.
Was he on the Noah? Was he on Noah's boat?
It was a woman, I believe.
Was he on the boat?
No, it wasn't. It was like a king, and the king was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna cut the baby in half, and y'all both can have half. And then the woman's like, no, I love the baby. Let him stay with them over there because I don't want to cut it in half. But the other person was like, sure, cut the baby in half type shit. And
real leadership by the king there.
So he's like, of course, you should have it because you wanted what was best, obviously. And it's the same kind of shit. It's like, if I'm a teacher and I'm like, yes, this is a good idea and I want the gun, I don't think you should have a gun in school. But maybe if there's a teacher's like, no, this is a horrible idea and I don't think I should have the gun, then those are the only people who don't want it are the only people who qualify. No.
Look at her right here, bro. Imagine this bitch shooting you in the middle of fucking right after recess.
Hey, I trust her, man. She's making good life choices.
Also known as a baby Glock.
This is middle school teacher Casey Hansen. That Glock is the gun she takes to school with her to protect herself and her students.
I didn't grow up around guns. It all started when Sandy Hook happened. I was in my second year of teaching, and it broke my heart to think all the teachers could do was huddle their kids in a corner, stand in front of them, and pray that nothing was going to come through that classroom door. Let's go.
In this simulation set in a school auditorium, she's learning what to do if an active shooter opens fire.
Show me your hands now! Everybody, show me your hands! It is intense. I'm kind of shaking a little bit.
Hansen says she never mentions her gun at school. Few colleagues, students, or parents even know she has it.
Hands up!
What would you say to a parent who comes to you and says, look, I really don't want you having a gun in a classroom with my kid?
You think they could have like better training video games, like some Call of Duty type shit? That was a really weak interpretation. Like, come on, like, we're pretty advanced.
That's your opinion.
I mean, I think we can have a better one in Orlando. We got Electronic Arts here.
Yeah, for sure. Something better than, like, I look like a
UCF as a
shot that like on a cell phone, just like we shoot this podcast on.
That I would like to not only protect myself, but your child and other children if I can. Why stop me from protecting the innocent?
Hansen is on the front line of a fierce debate over whether students would be safer by putting guns into the hands of their teachers. Over the past 2 days, President Trump has repeatedly endorsed the tactics of teachers like Hansen, who are willing to take their school's security into their own hands.
We have to harden our schools, not soften them up. A gun-free zone to a killer or somebody that wants to be a killer, that's like going in for the ice cream. These people are cowards. They're not going to walk into a school if 20% of the teachers have guns.
This after last week's attack on a Florida high school.
We have multiple SWAT teams clearing all the buildings.
That left 14 students and 3 faculty dead.
Feist was brought home by the Lord. I can tell you this, church. The Lord stared Feist directly in the face, and he had 2 words to say to him. Well done. Well done.
The coach had a firearm in his locker when he ran at this guy. That coach was very brave. Saved a lot of lives, I suspect. But if he had a firearm, he wouldn't have had to run. He would have shot, and that would have been the end of it.
According to an ABC News Washington Post poll, 42% of people surveyed say the Parkland shooting could have been prevented if teachers carried guns. But 58% of those polled said stricter gun laws could have stopped the killings. Some Marjorie Stoneman Douglas teachers like Jim Gard say more guns are not the answer.
Arming us could create an entirely new problem.
Could.
Especially when, if something does happen like this and authorities rush in, you might be shooting a teacher who's trying to protect kids.
Gard was in a building just 50 yards away from
Duh.
the shooter. He locked the
That's
door,
a great
protecting
point.
6
How are the
kids in
guns
his
going to know?
classroom.
The guns. How are the cops going to know?
Duh.
Close the door, turn the lights off, we got in. Is it real? Within 10 minutes, we knew, that it was serious.
But
Gard says even
apparently they're going to be outside, so it's all good.
This is gonna happen in Florida, bro. They already passed the law.
Yeah, as of today, or not as of today,
May
but
9th.
Today.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea, right?
Yeah,
Right?
I think so.
Bad
Your
call.
analogy about more of anything is just not good when you.
If that's the problem,
cute little middle school teacher, like I kind of believe her. Like shout to her, right?
About believe what?
That like she's going through the training. I mean, the training's a little weak, right? But like shout to her for taking that upon herself and learning, you know. And hopefully there's more teachers like that. But even a teacher like that, I don't think should have that. Like I think more resource officers, you know. And I got to go back to this, man. I think maybe 2 years, maybe 4 years is too much. It's like
I like 2 years.
Yeah, but man, like we really, and after the 2 years, if motherfucker still looks a little like, nah, we shouldn't give the gun, then you need 4 years. You know what I mean? Like if you want to take the accelerated course, go for it. But it's like we're not going to lose anything by extra training.
No,
we're not.
It's only doing better.
And if we're going to put, if doctors, right, need to go to school for like what, 8 years or 12 years?
7 years.
7 years.
Or is that a lawyer?
No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's 7 years, and then you have to go into a medical
Residency
field.
or
So
whatever.
it takes you 8 to 12 years before you become like a primary physician.
Because you're dealing with people's lives.
Right. And when you got a gun in your hand,
You're dealing with people's
you're dealing
lives.
with people's lives, bro.
Shouldn't be giving it to Janice.
Yeah.
Fresh off of binge watching The Sopranos.
And that goes for cops too, bro. If the cops had to go to school for 7 years before they became a police officer, you
How
would
many
have
good
to
cops?
respect them more. Yeah.
Great
And it's
cops.
like, bro, you dedicated 7 years of your life to figuring
You're a
out how to
great
be a
cop.
great cop.
To learn the law.
You know what?
You learn the fucking law.
This is where your argument is a little only on knowledge, right? You could never run out of too much knowledge. There's never too much knowledge.
Right.
There's never too much training.
Oh, okay. So if knowledge is the problem, that's my saying. That's what I was saying. If the thing is the problem, more of it is not the answer. So if knowledge is the problem, how could knowledge be the problem? Knowing too much.
Yeah, because you think you know too much, so you don't want to learn anymore.
So knowing more is not right. So
To
that's
be
the only thing.
open-minded.
Yeah.
That that in training, which is part of knowledge and just becoming better.
Yeah, bro.
You can't. It's not going to make you, or it's going to make you quit, and then you're not for it. But if you stick with it, you're just going to be a great person in that specific, path that you chose. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that the training and the reading and the reflection is always going to benefit people. And if it comes to thinking about yourself and why you react to things the way they react to them, or if it is just about handling your weapon better and knowing when to pull it out and when to leave it in, all that stuff. Maybe even take, like I said, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class and just learn how to keep a motherfucker up off you so you don't got to pull a gun out.
Preventive measures.
Jesus
Choke his ass
Christ, put your gun away. There's no reason to, kill me, officer. Not officer, teacher.
Student, dude.
It's like
bully.
The TA is mad as hell and she pulled out her baby Glock on me because I was up in her face. You seen the videos all the time.
Plus, now she can be protected by stand your ground. Oh, I felt in fear for my life.
Now, is that part of the stipulation of having a gun in the classroom that they're not allowed to pull it out on a kid? It has to be on if someone who has a gun. I wonder.
That's a good one. But on top of that, you'll still be protected by stand your ground. If you feel like someone is coming after you to kill you,
I don't know. What if
you could pull that gun out?
What if there's, I don't know what the rules are, but what if the rule says you can't even pull that bitch unless there's a gun involved?
Yeah, but law, you can't. I don't think you can create a law that'll surpass another law. You know what I mean? That's why cops necessarily will always win those cases, right? Because they were standing their ground. Cops are protected with that across the board. Doesn't matter what state you are. Now, if you're in Florida,
I don't know any precedent for it, but does stand your ground apply to schools?
Absolutely. Stand your ground applies to anywhere. If you feel physically threatened for your life, you have every right to kill that person. You got to prove that in the court of law. You know,
That
or you
dude's
got
one of the dudes having problems right now.
yeah,
The
well,
7-Eleven dude.
because of all the all the cases and everything, and even though there was a video, he definitely got pushed. Right? He shouldn't have shot the guy because the guy didn't have a gun or anything,
and he was walking away.
But it took them a while to arrest him. You know what I mean? And it's usually not until motherfuckers start protesting that you get an arrest.
Yeah.
Because usually, if there's not some type of hoopla, the cop's gonna be like, I gotta let him off because if I arrest him, I'm violating his civil rights. You know, and cops don't want to deal with that. We learned that in the Trayvon episode. You know,
Right, unless they're non-white, and then motherfuckers get arrested quite quickly.
Yeah, but they use that excuse, like I don't want to be sued or I don't want to violate someone's civil rights, so that's why I didn't arrest them. And then of course, the media frenzy comes. They put pressure on the prosecutors, and then the prosecutor ends up calling the arrest. And at that point, it's out of the cop's hands because if the prosecutor wants to go, happens with domestic violence all the time when the other party doesn't want to press charges. Prosecutor goes with it based on the laws and the
laws of the land,
the memorandums, I guess.
The memorandums.
Yeah, those are the stipulations in the law.
What?
Like the stuff that the criteria that you need to arrest somebody, right?
Okay.
That's why they don't arrest you for like stand your ground and stuff like that. Because if they can prove
the stipulations,
yeah,
and the memorandums, and the criteria,
intelligence. So no guns in school.
No guns in school. No knives in school. Just better security.
And what about having some type of psychologist on, if we're going to have school resource officers, why not train them to look out for kids like this, right? If you see a kid getting picked on or he looks a little Columbine-y, they all look the same. When you look at him, you're like, that kid. And when you talk to the kids, what do they always say? Oh, yeah, he was a bit of an outcast. Oh, yeah, this guy was...
Dude, Nicholas had a long list.
Right.
So what are people missing? What are they not doing?
They're not reacting to it.
One thing,
because there's no laws or there's no memorandums.
The one thing Kimberly said was that he posted that he wanted to be a school shooter from a YouTube account, but they couldn't figure out whose account it was.
Right. Well, that's all hindsight stuff. But there was...
What the shit is that? It's like the easiest thing in the world for anybody who has some sort of...
How?
What do you mean how?
How?
Get a fucking IT person, a computer person.
There's trolls all over the world that say, I'm going to shoot you, I'm a school shooter. There's rappers that throw that into their stuff. There's this new rapper named NFL Chopper, and some abbreviation Chopper, right? Just add, YNW Melly, whatever, Chopper. And his slogan is, I'm the school shooter. And he's a rapper. You're going to go arrest him? He's got guns in his videos.
I think that's what needs to start happening. I think no mercy when it comes to that shit until it stops happening.
Well, at least sit the person. You can't start throwing all these kids in jail. We need to sit them down.
No, you put them in jail because that's not prison.
True, but we already got too many people in prison. We need.
Like I said,
it's all mental. At the end of the day, it's a psychological condition.
Exactly. You scare the shit out of them over and over again, and they knock the shit off. Now, that's the ones that aren't serious about it, right? The ones that are serious about it, they're obviously, besides posting, they're going to actually do.
Right.
And then you pay attention to those. Now, you're not posting about it, but they're going to, it's going to come out.
Make sure these guys don't have no guns.
I mean, it seems pretty simple, right? Logistically, if there's not a weapon in their hand to shoot somebody with, it makes it harder to shoot people. But there's also the argument of, I'm going to kill somebody. I can use a car. I can use a knife.
Put them on house arrest or probation. They don't have to go to jail, but at least some type of monitoring. We have an infrastructure set up.
Again, because they're not going to prison, so it's not forever. Go to jail. Scare the shit out of them. Make it real.
I don't think jail scares kids. I think you need to sit down with them.
I don't think scared straight scares kids. Like actually being in jail and maybe being accosted. You know what I mean?
I don't know. A lot of my friends that ever went to jail has always told me that it's like a university. And the ones that thrive there...
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's a true story. I've never been to jail.
And neither have I. But all the stories I ever hear, that shit is... And motherfuckers that thrive in that situations, they end up getting the most stripes in jail.
Okay, but I'm not talking about the hard up gangbanging motherfucker, whatever, because he's not going on school shooting sprees. I'm talking about these specific individuals. They will buckle under that type of pressure because most of these cats are cowards. They're reserved. They don't want to be touched or talked to.
You don't think they're gonna get bullied in jail? You don't think that's just gonna leave? But that's what I'm saying. So we're not fixing the problem. We need to sit down psychologically.
The problem I was fixing was posting about how you're gonna be a school shooter on social media. That's the only thing.
Let them get raped in jail.
Stop them from doing that shit. That shit's done.
Little butt poking in jail, stop all that shit.
I get you won't be posting about it no more. And then, like I'm saying, the real motherfuckers, that'll get rid of those guys. The real motherfuckers who are actually into actually killing people, since they can't post about it, it's going to manifest in other ways. And we're going to see it. It's going to be more aggressively doing this. Or talking about that.
Create more shitty people.
And then... No, it's like herding snakes
feeding
or cats. You're like cutting off.
It's like feeding a little mouse to a big ass snake.
You're like cutting off exits.
You're feeding your python
and then
right now.
You funnel them to a certain way.
You're feeding your python little white mouse. You ever seen a python attack a little white mouse?
Now they're not on social media. Now they're doing it in other ways, so it's even more pronounced, and we can see like the actual motherfucker. Like I said, the fucking shit in jail is gonna stop. Some of them, the ones who aren't really serious about it, it's going to scare a couple of them for real. The other guys who are actually into some shit, they're going to continue on and escalate the other behaviors, the other activities that they're going to like shine a light on themselves, seeing as them as a threat. The resource officer that has been retrained and retooled to notice these other actions and these fucking behaviors, he's going to be looking at that. The students who've also been say something, see something, taken that class and shown when you see these kind of behaviors, activities, they're also going to be more keen and heightened awareness as far as like looking for this kid that may have a problem, that may do something, and boom, less school shootings.
What about just sitting them down with a shrink and talking about it?
Which one?
Like Nicholas, before he went to go shoot up the school, after his parents passed away, what if that dad, right, that brought him in the house, let him bring his fucking arsenal upstairs into the room? What if he was like, you know what? What are you doing today? Oh, I was going to go hang out at Margley School of Douglas or whatever today later on by myself with these guns. Well, why don't you come with me down to a psychiatrist and we're going to start talking to her every day? Because you sound like and look like you got a problem.
I don't know for sure, but I think he was getting that type of attention. I don't know for sure.
Nah. Not like that. Not like it was some therapy, obviously, because his mother died, but it wasn't like, Nicholas, are you thinking about killing people?
Because there were a lot of other little incidents. Like, he was told that he wasn't supposed to be at the school because there was other incidents at the school.
Well, did you know that during the interrogation, because I watched it was like 2 or 3 hours, and I only watched little bits and pieces of the interrogation because it's out on the internet. You guys go check it out. And he talks about these voices in his head and how the voices would leave him alone when he did evil things.
Like, how do you...
The guy is psychologically fucked up.
How do you...
Jail's not going to fix that. It's going to make it worse.
No, jail's going to stop him from posting on social media. Again, I'm not saying that's going to stop anything other than the act of putting it on social media, and that weeds out the fakes, the non-actual.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about the real Nicholas Cruzes, the real Columbine
Those
kid.
you will find, again, like I said, now you've trained the resource officer to look out for this or that or whatever. Now you offer us class in school that's see something, say something, where you're looking for certain indicators of people that have problems. So now, before Nicholas Cruz does what he does, he's identified and now take it away, therapy or whatever. So now now we got him help. Now hopefully that's what happens.
He needs to be watched for the rest of his life.
And if he's in your house, know if he has 5 fucking guns or 6 or 4 and what kind of guns they are and what kind of training he's been doing and if he goes to the range and if he have
ask him questions.
Not when you ask him, do you have that video when they ask him about the guns? And he's just like, I don't know, 5 or 6. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I would know goddamn serial numbers of pistols in my house.
Yeah, but that's who you are, and that's probably why you would never raise a school shooter.
I think everybody that deals with weapons, to your point, needs to be like how I am.
For sure.
Point, as far as
absolutely.
Like 2 years of, that's what 2 years of education is going to do, is gun safety and gun whatever. And you're going to know what every gun in your house does. It's going to be clean. It's going to be securely put away. You're going to know the firing rate. You're going to know what happens when you shoot the gun. You're going to know how far it's going to go through, what it's going to go through. You're going to know all of that stuff.
Yeah, because you're a professional gun owner.
You're not just going to let that shit up in your house and then pull the fucking dumb face when he goes and shoots up the school. Like, it's ridiculous, bro. Like your boy, the dude, not your boy, but the dad, the kid had cancer, so you got him a gun.
Oh yeah, Conrad Schaefer's father.
And he's just like, no.
Yeah, I was trying to help his self-esteem.
So I got him a pistol and he starts shooting people, or he got a rifle and starts shooting people.
That would seem like completely peer pressure. So there's so many different. There's a plethora.
It's a plethora.
There's a plethora.
A myriad
of situations.
Myriad of sitches. But yeah, I think with better training, a clear understanding of one's responsibilities, and looking out for warning signs and being vocal about
questioning
and being vocal about it, so that if there's a problem, you get it early and don't pick on people.
Yeah.
Don't bully.
Yeah, let's turn high schools into love factories instead of Serengetis.
Let's not do love factory.
Why not?
A lot of babies being had in love factories.
I'd rather people be putting out babies than shooting people.
Yeah, but does it have to be one or the other? Let's go with something more like understanding castles.
College of knowledge.
College of knowledge. I like it.
Well, this is the Fresh Produce Florida podcast. I am your humble and gracious co-host, Phraydoe Peans.
My name is Thompson still.
And it's Fresh Produce Florida Media at Gmail. Thank you, Mr. Michelson, for emailing us and inviting us to a very special July Perry event that I'm going to be at this Friday.
And I may even swing by, call it my lunch break.
Hell yeah. But shout out to you guys, and make sure that, if you guys ever see people like this, it takes us as a huge tribe of Americans to make this place better. So don't shoot anybody, but go out of your way to talk to somebody, if you feel like they're going off that edge. Now, stay away from them if they have a gun and call police, I would say don't try to be a hero, but that's just my opinion. If you want to run in front of them, that's, I guess, your prerogative.
I don't know if that was very good. Last 20 seconds. Don't even worry about it, guys. Don't worry about the last 20 seconds.
Gang signs. Peace out.